Hey, what's up guys, Aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 Career Mode, episode number 3 today for the Bahrain Grand Prix. If you guys did miss the previous one, the start of our F1 season, then be sure to go check that video out before you see this one. And I've got to say, before we get into the rest of the video, a huge thank you to you guys for the support on both yesterday's Career Mode videos, part 1 and part 2. You guys killed it, like I really mean killed it, like over 10,000 likes on part number 1, I think nearly 8,000 right now as I'm recording this on part number 2, and both videos at some point got on YouTube's gaming trending page, which is absolutely insane for an F1 game, and also my first time ever being on YouTube trending. So thank you just so much. The support was unbelievable, crazy, and so I'm so excited to get into another part of this career mode then, the Bahrain GP. Now, Bahrain was a very difficult circuit on last year's game, so curious to see how it's going to go for 2019. Of course, going through the practice programs. Like I mentioned in part number 2, though, I don't think I'm going to be showing much of practice, basically, for the rest of this series, because you guys know the drift now. For like the last 3 games now, essentially, you guys know what happens in practice. You go through the practice program modes to get those R&D points. You can get like a maximum of about 335 to like 350 sometimes each weekend for doing the practice programs, and generally speaking, I get to do most of them. There are a couple that I just don't bother and just skip through because sometimes they're a little bit difficult depending on the circuit and the car level where the car is at, essentially. But you guys know the drift, so I'm just going to kind of go through them from now on and go straight to qualifying. So to that effect, yeah, just showing you a few clips now of what happened in Bahrain. Obviously, Bahrain very unique. You start off practice in the daytime, and the track temperature was maybe a little bit higher than obviously we're going to race at in quali in the race, so the car was a little bit floaty here and there, so getting to grips with it and still getting used to the handling from Australia to Bahrain. At this point in the career, I still wasn't fully comfortable with it. Braking, especially at Bahrain, a little bit tricky, a fair few lockups here and there, but nonetheless, we just have to bite the bullet and see how it goes then. So let's get straight into qualifying and go to Saturday.
Bahrain qualifying is nearly upon us, and the drivers look as if they're all geared up to go. I expect we'll be getting underway very shortly. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction, and over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong, and that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
So nighttime has descended here at the Bahrain International Circuit, and we're here in Q1 to try and see what we can do. Last time out, we did not get through into Q2 at Australia. I don't have too many high hopes of doing any different here at Bahrain, because like I said, last year on F1 2018, this circuit was always very difficult against the AI. They were very overpowered around Bahrain. We'll see how it goes, but generally speaking, like what was the case at Australia, I can just tell as well this car just has a lack of downforce. You know, we purchased those 2 major downforce upgrades for the front and the rear last episode. That will take 4 episodes to come in at the Azerbaijan GP, and until then I'm just going to be crying about it because you can really feel the lack of downforce, and I don't want to run too high wings because then that will compromise our setup too much and really make us too slow in a straight line. So it's kind of a struggle bus at the moment of just trying to get through the corners as quickly as we can and just kind of waiting for the front end to respond, and it just doesn't want to because we just lack downforce compared to all the other cars around us. Even Williams, who are better than us at the moment, the R&D tree. Like I said, Cody's definitely did Alfa Romeo a little dirty at the start. Of course, though, once it comes to the full release date, day 1, for you guys, the general release for the public, there might be a day 1 patch to change those performance levels. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm pre-recording a lot of these episodes ahead that you'll be seeing on the channel. But at the moment, then that first flying lap was okay. I thought we were P14, then we go down to P17 as I go back to the pit lane there. So we lost some time, and Kimi's not too much better as well. So yeah, the car is just not looking like it's that quick. At the moment, I'm still P17. I think Kimi right now is, I think he's ahead of us, potentially. I don't actually know there on the top left, but at the moment, Verstappen is gone fastest in this Q1 session, so we'll see if that carries forward into Q2 and Q3. Obviously, Verstappen inherited pole position last race after Sebastian Vettel got a penalty, which a lot of you found quite amusing, quite realistic, of course. Vettel getting penalties these days in F1, but anyway, less said about that, the better, probably. So we go into our second flying lap, double lockup into the left-hander. Very tricky, that one of the hardest corners in F1, ready to not have a lockup there, and especially with our car, even trickier. trickier because the front end just doesn't want to respond, and then the rear end starts to step out if I slam on the brakes too much. Through this next left-hander, though, felt really good, actually. I was getting some time through there as we got the traction down, so that was quite positive, actually. And I think the car is generally going to be quite good off this final corner in terms of straight line speed. So in the race, we might actually have quite a good race. Because of the DRS effect as well. We got up to P14 then with that flying lap. I wanted to go for a second flyer on that same set of tyres and just see if the tyres kind of rub it in a little bit better, which they kind of did. I did gain some time, you can see in the top right there, so I was actually quite happy about that. Raikkonen has just beaten me. He's P13 right now, so we're 13th and 14th, but you can see in the bottom right, I don't have too much fuel to play around with, and by the time we get through to basically the last corner, I'm going to start to run out of fuel, and so I have to come in. We're on low fuel mode, so I have to abort that lap. If I had not run out of fuel, I might have just improved by maybe a tenth or two, which could have seen us beating Raikkonen, but unfortunately, we can't, so Raikkonen will beat us in what is going to be now P14 and 15. So we're already dropping down one more position as we come in now. Obviously, there's only 1 minute left of the session. I don't have any more time to fuel the car and go back out. So we're just going to bring in the car, but unfortunately, as we go around, all the AI are going to do their final lap. They've timed it a little bit better than I did, and unfortunately, right at the end of it, I'm going to be down in P18. Kimi Raikkonen is going to be P15, so Raikkonen will just about get through into Q2. I am knocked out again in Q1, and that is quite upsetting, really, because I think if I timed that better and did a lap right at the end, where the track maybe rubbered up even more, because the track does get faster as you go through the sessions, as we go on through the actual time in the first session as well, I think I could have maybe just about matched Raikkonen. So that's a bit of a shame, but we're going to have to deal with it now. So P18, at least there's going to be plenty of overtakes maybe in the race tomorrow. And obviously, because we're nowhere near the top 10, we get a free choice of tyres as well, so that might play into it. But Devin Butler does a great job in the Toro Rosso there to be up in P12. And also, Lucas Weber, he's up in P9 in the Williams car. So my two F2 story mode rivals have absolutely battered me there. So that's pretty kind of half kind of cool to see, because it's cool to see the F2 rivals being that good, and therefore they should give us a real good fight throughout this entire career mode. But also at the same time, it's a little bit embarrassing, obviously. Second time asking, I've been absolutely done. So we have a lot to do in the race. Let's go to Sunday and hopefully we can make things up here come the race day.
The curtain rises once more then on the desert stage of Sakir as the players take their places for the opening act. Will they enthrall us like they did in 2014 with that titanic battle between Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton? Well, we'll find out shortly as we get underway here in Bahrain. There's no shortage of passing opportunities around the 3.36 miles of the Bahrain International Circuit, with the best at turn 1 of course, and then another soon into turn 4. 15 corners here, 6 to the left and 9 to the right, and we could see 1 or 2 flat spots into the tight left-hander of turn 10. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Now, let's talk about Charles Leclerc. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday puts him on pole, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Vettel, Pierre Gasly, and Verstappen, Ricciardo, Weber, Hülkenberg, and Lance Stroll, Butler, Magnussen, Kimi Raikkonen, and Norris, Sainz, Perez, Romain Grosjean, and the engineer, Russell. And Alexander Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Alright, so here we are looking at the strategy then for the race ahead. It's going to be a one-stop in either case. Doesn't matter what tire we start on. The recommended strategy is going to a set of hard tyres, either starting on the softs or the mediums. We are going to select the mediums because I'd rather have a low tyre wear management race, and I feel like at Bahrain, it's a hot climate. Even at night time, it's quite hot. I don't think the soft tyres are going to hold out as much as I would like them to, and so I think against the guys ahead of us who might start on the soft tyres, especially the top 10 guys, though that our our medium tyres will come back into play a little bit quicker later on in that first stint. So we're going to go with that second strategy from the mediums to the hards. But we're going to have an interesting race on our hands because Raikkonen qualified in P13 in the end. So shows our car does have some decent pace, actually. It was just me maybe being slow at Bahrain again on this year's game because he's 5 positions ahead of us in P13, which is not too far off the top 10. Also on that note, Weber got into the top 10 in, what was it, P8 or 9, and Butler got P11 in the Toro Rosso, and obviously Weber got there in a Williams car. So Weber and Butler very, very fast, and they've completely shown me up. But I don't know. Obviously, I beat them in F2 though, so does that kind of just show that maybe I'm actually really good as well? Maybe the car, which is that horrendous, I don't know. But either way, we've got our 2 rivals and my teammate doing a great job, so we have to do better in this race. But obviously, if you guys have been following my channel for a while now, you'll know that I am more of a kind of race day kind of guy than qualifying. I kind of think I'd rather do the job on the day where the points actually come. So let's just go have a fun one, and hopefully Bahrain isn't as difficult as it was on last year's game, but we won't know that until we get into it. So let's go. It's the second race of our F1 career, the Bahrain Grand Prix. Here we go. It's a 5 red lights from P18 on the grid. 4 lights are out and we're underway, and it's an okay start for us. A better one for Grosjean and also George Russell on the left-hand side there. Try and chop him off as well as the Toro Rosso of Albon there, but going to have to stick to the inside instead. Sergio Perez tries to make a move on Lando Norris ahead of us. Can we follow him through as we go down the inside of Grosjean there? 3 wide for the 2 McLarens, a Racing Point car, but he gets squeezed out. Perez does. We're still on the right and outside of Grosjean there. We're going to try and squeeze him out, but he's got his nose in there, trying to find some space to go on the left-hand side, and Grosjean with a massive dive on the outside there. Tries to get 4 cars. Grosjean's overtaken 4 cars there, including myself, and we're going to try and follow him through on the outside, and it's worked out actually because I've managed to get Carlos Sainz napping a little bit, caught up behind his teammate there, so following Grosjean kind of worked, but Grosjean showing me how it's done in effect there on the outside, and now we're behind our fellow Brit, Lando Norris then. Can we get down the inside of him, potentially maybe into the next left-hander? No, have a little look with the nose, but taking it nice and easy at this stage as well, because I don't want to lock up my tyre too much, because like I said also, we should have an advantage later in this stint from the medium tyre versus all the guys on softs like Lando Norris, so I don't want to lock up the tyres too much. I want to keep these tyres in check, because come around, I don't know, lap number 8, when the soft tyres start to go off, that's when our strategy will really come into play. But we might be able to get Norris here in a straight line. We're going to go for a move to the inside. Norris goes defensive here, but he's going to make a dive himself, and so we're 3 wide with the Haas and McLaren there. Look at that. What amazing action there. Lando Norris with a horrendous dive. I thought I was going to get him down the inside, and he was going to have to back out there. But he thinks, no, I'm not only going to defend against you, Arab, I'm also going to attack Grosjean as well. And so wonderful stuff there from Lando Norris. He's still fighting the Frenchman, but amazing action into turn 1 already on lap number 2 only with the Bahrain GP. But we get Norris, we get Grosjean there of that 3 abreast moment into turn 1. And so we're up into P14, looking okay, but we have some clean air to work with, but we actually have to look behind us and try and defend against Norris. I aggressively move from the left to right and then left, trying to break the toe of Norris, but he sticks with me there. The new improved AI on F1 2019 working well there, but he has a bit of contact with me on the rear end, as I maybe broke it a bit early compared to what he was thinking. Obviously, I don't have the downforce compared to the McLaren quite yet in this season there, so I think he might have a tiny bit of damage, but he's going to have another look at us on the outside there. I've gone lower down on ERS modes maybe compared to him, so we go very defensive on the inside there, still taking it nice and easy on the tyres and on the braking, trying to protect everything basically, but we remain in P14 for now. But yeah, a lot of action already to say there's only been 2 laps of this Grand Prix, and the action is going to continue now because we got a Haas v Toro Rosso there. Kevin Magnussen down the inside of Devin Butler there, trying to fight back here, but I think the Haas just about has it there. The Toro Rosso going backwards in this race then, and Butler's overtaken, so that will be the next car up for me, so that gives me a bit of motivation to catch up to one of my F2 rivals there, and of course the more annoying F2 rival of the 2 of Weber and Butler, so hopefully we can catch up. And Butler's going to continue to fight Magnussen though, so those 2 actually slowing each other down with his fighting, so you can just see there in the background I'm closing up just about, and we're getting away from Grosjean, who is still very much fighting hammer and tong with the McLaren and the Racing Point cars, but Butler is re-overtaken despite trying to make the pass. And up ahead, look at that massive train of that is the Williams of Weber ahead of both Renaults, one Racing Point car of I think that is Lance Stroll, and then Raikkonen tail ends this train there. So Weber, despite having a good qualifying, maybe doesn't have the race pace today, and so he's basically a blockade at the moment here. He's slowing down the two Renaults very much so, and backing up the Renaults, the Racing Point car, and Raikkonen towards Magnussen, Butler, and then eventually myself, actually. So carry on, Weber, and we might actually get to this train eventually if Weber can keep through, because obviously we saw in Australia that Williams car, rapid in a straight line, but not great in the corners, so he's able to keep it through, I'm guessing, in Sector 1 and Sector 3, basically, where it kind of all matters in essence, or where all the moves are basically made at Bahrain. Very difficult to make a move in Sector 2 sometimes, unless you have such a big difference of potential pace. But we move on then to the end of lap 5, onto lap 6, catching up to Butler now, and we should be able to make a pass in a straight line. The Honda engine in that Toro Rosso not too great, or we saw on the R&D tree last episode. So here we go, DRS open. He's got DRS open himself, but no match for our Ferrari power in the back of his Alfa Romeo car. On the outside we go, nice and easy under braking, just trying to get a move done on the outside there. And actually Butler brakes so late that actually taps Magnussen. So it seems like the AI are really, quite late on the brakes in turn 1, and actually will go for a move on other fellow AI cars, it would seem there. So good stuff there by Butler to try and make something work, but alas, in the end, we get him, and now we're going to try and chase after Magnussen there. So now we move through on towards lap number 7 now with DRS activated. Magnussen doesn't have anyone ahead of him to get DRS off, so this should be a pretty easy pass here, coming at him like an absolute rocket ship on the right-hand side, and we're up into P12, and for the first time, I see my teammate ahead of us. But look at this then, lap number 7, and the Alfa Romeo is running P11 and P12, so it really does seem like our car has better race pace than it does qualifying. So maybe it's not just me. I mean, Raikkonen obviously did the job, but it really maybe is a case of our car has the better race pace. It seems like both of us have better pace in the race than in quali. Obviously, Raikkonen got held up with a lot of traffic last episode, but now he's kind of just being held up by that massive train there. So it's really good to see, because we actually move on to lap number 8, and he's gone and overtaken Lance Stroll. We missed the overtake, but he's overtaken the Canadian in the Racing Point car, and we're going to try and catch up with him. Great acceleration there, horrendous traction for the Canadian, who I'm sure the soft tyres are going off somewhat. So this is maybe a good sign there. That traction zone is maybe just a sign that now, like I said, around lap 8, this is when the soft tyres will start to go off a little bit, and my mediums will be looking pretty damn good at this stage, as we now look ahead of us on this same straight. Weber still fighting with Dan Ricciardo and Nico Hülkenberg, and the German gets ahead of the Aussie man and both Renault cars. You can see Raikkonen now closing up, and myself as well. So this is very much a big train, about 6-car train now, and Weber is the man right at the front. So it's not the Trulli train, it's the Weber train, and it's working a treat for my race, because it's allowing us to close up now as we're up to P10, as someone's made a pit stop ahead of us in the top flight of this race. And on lap number 9 here, this train's bunching up quite a fair bit, and I'm getting to the point where I think I can have enough pace to maybe take Raikkonen. I think his tyres are well and truly going off there on the soft, so I think we need to try and pounce right now, otherwise we'll lose too much time. We need to get into some clean air, or at least get past 1 or 2 cars here this phase, and basically use the fact our tyres will be better now than these guys ahead of us. So as we go through the next right and then left, trying to ease on the throttle, get the power down early there on the exit of the corner. There we go for a pounce down the inside of the hairpin. It's going to be very fine margins between myself and Raikkonen. No contact made though, great respect between myself and Kimi, and we're up into P9 then, and this is really showing that the tyres are working a treat. Hülkenberg ahead is on mediums as well as Ricciardo, but they're being held up so much by Weber that we might be able to close up on them. And of course the Renault engine isn't too good. The Ferrari engine in the back of our car, well, we showed it's pretty good even against the likes of Haas and also Racing Point, so we should hopefully be able to try and close up to the Renaults, because they're still stuck behind Weber for another lap there. So the German's doing a fantastic, you know what, it's almost like he's my teammate still from F2, because he's doing me a solid here. So it's almost like we never left ART in F2 story mode. We go for a move now down the inside of Hülkenberg there, who's been caught up behind Weber, who's been overtaken finally by Ricciardo. We're going to go for the switch to the left-hand side potentially of Hülkenberg. He's going to block that off though. He opens DRS, we do as well. He's going to go to the inside to the fence, so we pull to the outside, try and go the long way around, try and ease on the throttle as early as we can. Locked up a little bit, but that it still doesn't stop our momentum on the outside, and we do get up into P8 there. Great little overtake on Hülkenberg, who made it very difficult for me, to be fair to him, but we got past him, and now can we get Weber? Ricciardo's past him. Looks like Ricciardo's finally now getting away and can try and waltz off into the distance, but now can we get the German, who's done us a solid so far in this race, but now can we try and not repay the favour and basically just ruin his race potentially? Let's see, as we move on to lap 11 now, we carry on, because of course all of us on medium tyres will keep going on for about 4 more laps, and look at that, Weber going for a move on Ricciardo. Once again, that Williams car being a real thorn in Renault's side there. They're side by side through the first few turns, Absolutely awesome wheel-to-wheel stuff there from both. And look at that, the exit we've got. We can overtake Ricciardo, closing up to Weber. We're going to cut to the left-hand side, so close to lopping off Ricciardo's front wing potentially. But we make it work. Fine margins there, but a great bit of racing action. And we're up into P5 of this Grand Prix. Of course, there are some people in the top flight and the top 3 teams that have already made pit stops, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But still, P5, absolutely amazing stuff here, and showing actually the race pace is there from our car, because Kimi's also just around here, but the strategy is going to pay dividends for us, being on mediums to hard tyres, because look at this, they carry on fighting. This is Valtteri Bottas there with a 3-car lunge maybe down the inside, the Finn who's eating his porridge this afternoon, but potentially he's trying to go around the outside of 2 cars there, gets held up a little bit, but he's making his way through. But I was about to say that it seems like our car does have better race pace than quali. I've said that a few times now, but more so now in this very race. You saw Kimi was kind of there, but he's had to pit now so many laps before me because he was on soft tyres. I think this strategy is going to pay dividends, and we're going to be even better than Raikkonen here. So I think we have a good chance to once again beat Kimi, and we actually might be right up there because this strategy is really working well. These mediums are holding on very nicely. We're on lap 14 now. We're still out there on the mediums. We're up into P2 now. Hamilton's just pit. He's come out behind us. Leclerc is the only man yet to pit in this Grand Prix. Leclerc also, funny enough, started on the medium tyres. He's now gone to the hard, so I think this is kind of proving that this strategy is the one to be on. Although our rear end does snap out a little bit, now's the time to pit. But I think we're about to prove that this might be an inspired strategy decision, and makes up for what happened last race, because last race I kind of found fault with the strategy. The 2-stop we did at Melbourne didn't work out. It was the kind of team's fault for suggesting it, but obviously start of the game I trusted the team on that decision. Didn't work out. This time though, we've chosen the right strategy, and I think it's going to really work well. So we're on a set of hard tyres now, the white wall. At the same time, the Haas and one of the Renaults comes in as well, so I'm not too sure which ones have come in with us, but here we come out of the pit lane. Where are we going to be in relation to the likes of Weber and also Raikkonen? Let's see, we come out in P7 ahead of Weber, and that is a legit P7, remember, because we're going to the end of the Grand Prix. Everyone's going to the end of the Grand Prix, and so Weber is still there, being an absolute bus ahead of the 2 Renaults and Haas. He's doing me such a solid, man. Like, we may as well rebrand our cars as ART cars at this point, because he really is working like a teammate to me until this point, because then he dives down the inside. That we're going to try and switch back him now and have a bit of a nice scrap with our former F2 teammate up into P7 once again. Nice battling there, and a bit of nice back and forth on lap 15 there. But we are in P7, Weber is in P8, and we're both going to the Grand Prix. So now it's a question of, can we actually hold on to this? Because P7 is best of the rest. That will be such an amazing finish in the second race only of our career mode here, and really prove that we have basically chosen the strategy and chosen the way we've gone about things perfectly this race. As we now move on to lap number 19, 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Weber will once again try and close up on me. Yellow flags behind, and what is great luck and a great race for me so far is going to be the complete opposite for Kimi Raikkonen, because that's going to be him out of the Bahrain Grand Prix. I can tell you, you're going to see the pop-up screen just come up now on the screen. Raikkonen out of the session there with a mechanical engine kind of failure there. Quick replay, you can see him in the background there just pulling up a little bit by the pit lane exit. He's actually going to pull it up on the grass there, and it's a pretty sad sign. So, like I said, maybe I've sucked all the good luck for the team myself to get that P7 right now, because Raikkonen DNF in the second race, not too great. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come in terms of reliability for the team as a whole. But as we move on then later into this Grand Prix, then as I said, the last 10 laps of this GP just have to get through to the end on these tyres, and Weber is under pressure from Magnussen there. Both are all of us on hard tyres here in this shot there, both Renaults, the Haas, Williams and myself. But you can see again Weber doing a brilliant job. That Mercedes engine in the back of the Williams car just keeping him ahead in the corners. It's very clear the Renault and the Haas are faster, and you can see what a great little move by Hulkenberg there around the outside of Ricciardo and Magnussen there. Can he pull it off? Yes, he can on the outside. Great stuff there by the German, double pass on the outside, and now he can have a go at Weber. But they're all basically taking turns at who should attack Weber, and none of them can get him. Like, he's doing such a great job. He's playing to his car's strength. Bahrain is a bit of a power circuit, and so it's no surprise the Williams car is going kind of well here in the game, at least, because in the game it would seem like the Williams car is that great in a straight line that it can kind of make up for a horrendous car that it is in the corners. But eventually maybe this is going to be the breaking point, because Hulkenberg, sorry, can get past Weber. But as we go through the exit of turn 2, Weber comes back at him though, but he's not going to have the downforce on the outside, is he? Maybe he might actually do so. He comes through. He might prove me wrong there. Weber really showing how much of a skilled skillful driver he is. Round the outside he goes of the German. Can he get him there? His fellow German, side by side they go. Hulkenberg comes back at him though, and it's a great scrap between the two, and Weber will finally get squeezed out. I think that's finally him overtaken for good for P8, but will he come back through the last corner? It might not be over there. I was probably stupid to think it was going to be over, because no, he comes back down the inside of the Renault through the last corner again on the very next lap we go on to, and it might be 3 wide soon enough because the Haas will get a double toe. Here we go on to a new lap then, and down the main straight the Haas comes in. It's 3 wide between the Haas, Williams and Renault there. Magnussen down the inside for the double pass though, up into P8. Hulkenberg on the outside will now go side by side through turn 2 on Magnussen, and it's just great racing action. But it's awesome. Like, they're just attacking each other every single corner, and I just can't keep up with it. Like, Magnussen and Hulkenberg still side by side. Weber still sniffing around. Hulkenberg again on the outside of that right-hander. He's loving that outside corner at the end of sector 2 and at the end of sector 1, and he gets that move done, and he's up into P8. But Magnussen will come back at him the very next lap. DRS open, lovely camera shot there, and into turn 1 he's on the outside, and he's got it done into the apex there, and he is now the one in P8. Hulkenberg in P9 and Weber in P10, still in the points for Williams. And so with that we move back to our race and our POV on lap 26 onto lap 27. Because of all that fighting we've been able to keep up into P7, but now Magnussen has finally been released and he's caught us up rapid time here as our tyres start to go off a little bit with you saw the rear end snapping, and so Magnussen trying to make a move on the outside. We tried to break the toe on the right side, didn't work out, so we have to go and fight him into turn 1. Little lock up there, but still neck in neck through that corner, leave him a little bit of room on the inside there through turn 2, but we stay ahead for now. But he's going to have DRS. We have DRS actually. No, I think we got the activation there, and so we're quite lucky actually in fact, and so we're trying to park the car in the middle of the circuit, try and keep him at bay. Another lock up there, so the tyres are starting to cause me a few little issues, and Magnussen and both Hulkenberg have now caught up to me. But we move on here towards the last lap of the Grand Prix then. One final time maybe for Magnussen to have a go at me into turn 1, but we've actually got a great exit, and I kind of got on to concentrate a little bit more, because to be honest, because they were fighting so much behind me, I was able to kind of just relax a little bit, so I think my mind switched off a little, so I had to kind of switch it back on once Magnussen attacked me. And you can see on the top left, Magnussen and Hulkenberg side by side again as their name tags constantly switched there, as Magnussen did have to defend against Hulkenberg into turn 1. But we move through now to the last 2 corners here, and Leclerc has gone and won the Bahrain Grand Prix on that one-stop strategy, medium to hard, showing them to be the better strategy, and that's Leclerc with 2 wins in a row to start off the 2019 season here for the F1 2019 career mode here on this channel. Absolutely amazing stuff there for Leclerc. But here we're going to come through, the fireworks are out, and we're going to be very happy because this is going to be P7 in our second race only with Alfa Romeo Racing. Best of the rest, get in there.
Here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Fermé. What a fantastic race it was. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Great work out there today. Let's have your thoughts. You were cutting your way through the field during the race.
Yeah, we did cut our way through the field, more because of the tyre strategy than anything. So I want to go for an answer to that. Talked about grip, which was the left-hand side answer, but that actually complemented the aero, not the tyres, but that's still a positive for us.
You're breaking all expectations. What's your secret?
And with this classic question, I thought I'll go with the classic answer there. That would be telling, be a bit tongue-in-cheek, but that won't mean anything for any reputation or whatnot.
Great. Well, that's everything.
But that's the full race results then. In the end, Leclerc wins it from Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, Bottas, Gasly, myself in P7, ahead of Magnussen, Hulkenberg, and Lucas Weber in P10. Gets 1 point on the board for Williams. Absolutely crazy for Williams to score a point. They're ahead of Toro Rosso and McLaren there. So Weber single-handedly climbing and dragging Williams up the order. But with that P7, we climb up all the way to P5 in the constructors there. So already straight away making an impact at Alfa Romeo. But if we go back to the race results, you can see there Raikkonen really lost out in that race. You know, he was right there with us. He was battling Magnussen and the 2 Renaults, and Weber that entire first stint, but it was the strategy, the tyre difference that really made the difference. Everyone that started on softs went down the order. You know, myself, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Weber, all of us were on soft tyres, as well as also Stroll. All of us all of us were on medium tyres, and we went to the hards, whereas everyone else behind us fell away on the soft to mediums because they had to pit so much earlier, and therefore had to kind of string out the hard tyre compound as well. So I really think if Raikkonen had picked more wisely, because he didn't qualify in the top 10, so if he had chosen the medium tyre, I reckon he would have been right there with me, actually. Would have still been in the fight with at least Weber, at least minimum, in that race there. So it might look like I've completely outdone Raikkonen, but really I think the strategy was the bigger play in it, and I think our car genuinely was that good around Bahrain, which is great to see. Maybe Melbourne was just a very bad race for us in terms of overall pace, but obviously still have to work out what happened in qualifying and need to try and get that up, because obviously the better you qualify, the better race, the better the race can be. So still question marks and stuff has to be answered, but all in all, pretty damn awesome race. We get 600 extra resource points for completing our 8 practice programs, which obviously, like I mentioned, I'm not going to show you guys in the video, but we did them. That's how you know I've done them, because we did 600 points there. So an extra 600 points, pretty damn nice. But to be honest, I didn't know what to spend them on, because we've got the 2 major aero updates coming, and I didn't really feel like buying a minor update for the chassis and the engine quite yet. Like, I wanted to try and focus on aero, because I feel like the engine's fine. I kind of wanted to almost save money for aero, but because we have to wait 2 episodes anyway, I thought, okay, let's spend the extra 600 points that we got. We may as well, because that's a bonus. Let's spend it on the weight reduction, so that'll make the car lighter, so hopefully in acceleration terms, make our car better, but also that affects cornering as well. In the middle of the corner, you can feel the car being a bit more maneuverable, so hopefully that will come in clutch and help us out. And also what we're going to do is, because aero is going to be so important for us, I'm going to go ahead and purchase a department efficiency here, and that's going to lower the cost of future upgrades on the aero department by 10%. So that's going to be useful, because we're going to need to basically dive in multiple tiers in the R&D tree on the aero for this car, because it is that horrendous. Like, the understeer and quali is abysmal. It's so apparent, so we really need to dive deep, and so we're going to try and go for efficiency of the department and really make it a bit of a rocket ship basically in terms of development for this area of the car. But guys, that was absolutely amazing, action-packed Bahrain Grand Prix, amazing result for us as well, so all the boxes ticked as far as I'm concerned for episode number 3, but round number 2 of this season. So if you guys did enjoy that as much as I did, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, do subscribe for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been Alfa. Hope you enjoyed today. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.